Hello! I've just had to unmute myself from yesterday. Hello and welcome to the Flooring Models live show. Here we are with you on Thursday the 30th, the last day of October, and everyone's looking quiet.
September.
I'm almost into October. Look, I'm there. I'm all ready for autumn to come along, jumping into leaves and stuff like that, says Winnie the Pooh. So, yes, we are all good. Trust you're all doing very well at home as well. I think the stream seems to be all okay. I have double checked it and I've got the chat on over there today just to be a little bit different. So, hello to everybody who is online with us. So, we're all good there. How are we doing then? Nathan, you good?
I'm good, yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's me. That's it. Mute that.
What am I messing around with this week? Aviatic decals.
Oh, so you've been having lots of fun. Hold
yeah,
on.
I'm never boning about stenciling an F4 again.
There we go.
So these things are like sheets of decals that you just put on.
Right, so no painting.
No painting at all. You just spray it white
and
then put the decals on.
So go on, because I thought it was actually quite a nice comment you made earlier. Tell the boys and girls at home what you said about them, about obviously you modelling.
I feel like I'm putting somebody else's artwork on the model.
Which
all I've done is I've sprayed it white, and then somebody else has designed this decal with all the sort of fabric details and the markings and the variations in colour tone. And I just feel like I've just built somebody else's model.
Because obviously we talk about a lot of the time, don't we, about obviously aftermarket, it's like a bit of cheating. So obviously, and I know people have mentioned about obviously, colour photo etch cockpits now and all these different bits and pieces. So really this is the other extreme. It's, there's no paintwork involved, there's no airbrushing, there's no weathering even or anything else like that, because the decal, like I described it like wallpapering.
It is like wallpaper.
You're putting it down. So, and I thought it actually struck a bit of a chord with me when you said it doesn't feel like my work, because everything you can see visually is somebody else's work. And again, it's very cleverly done, because to try and recreate that sort of, especially that stripy tone down the sides, would be quite a challenge. Let's face it.
I mean, it has got a fabric texture to it. But the decals have proven a little bit of a pain to settle down, but they are working. They need decal solutions put on top and stuff. And then I can seal it and flat coat it and do some weathering on it, but I still don't feel like it's a model that I've enjoyed. I just think I'm just decorating. I feel like I'm vinyl wrapping a car.
Yeah.
That's the main 32nd one, isn't it?
This is the wing nut wing / Meng one, but I mean it's gonna look cool when it's done. I think it looks a bit bright, to be honest. I might need to dull it down a bit, but I just feel like I've built somebody else's model. I feel like I'm gonna have the same feelings towards this I might have a corgi model.
Yeah.
I feel like I've put somebody else's.
The thing is there's a chance of seeing two at a model show that look absolutely identical.
Yeah. That's a good point. I haven't thought of that. It's like turning up with the same dress on.
Yeah.
I mean,
it happens to us all the time.
So I'm like, I've got mixed feelings about these decals. They're very good. They work. They settle down with a bit of work. I mean, they work like normal decals, but the blue's got an amazing fabric pattern on it, which you couldn't do any other way.
Yeah.
But I'm not feeling it. I don't know. It's a thing. All I did is spray it white and put stickers on it.
I think it is actually quite an interesting fact, because obviously we've seen in the past, Tamiya did a release of kits with sort of almost like pre-built, pre-painted ones. I don't think they sort of do them anymore, but that was back in the 90s and stuff like that. And other manufacturers in the past have done like pre-painted cars and that, the bodywork's been done. And so again, it's almost like it's like half modelling, because you're doing it.
I mean, there's the upper wings for the middle wing. They're there. All I've got to do is stick them on.
Yeah.
And if that's your thing, then fine. I think I'm going to have to play about with weathering. I might do a filter over the top, dull it down a bit, weather it, and
Again, it's a very interesting subject, which we'll probably do another show on, clearly, because I think it's a good one. But again, it's a bit like using masks for, you can get, obviously we've used digital masks. I know Nathan's done it. I've done a form of it, and I've used aircraft marks, top-notch ones for, obviously doing all the camo work. And it does take a lot of the guesswork out of it, and certainly makes it a lot easier if you're not into that particular realm of painting. If you're not, let's face it, we talked about this on previous shows. If you're into construction and you love to get to this bit, but the rest of it, is a bit, I'm not very good at airbrushing, I don't like, painting with a hairy brush and all the rest of it, you can sort of be put off of that latter part. So anything that makes it easier, i.e. by using masks that just, paint it one colour, put it down, paint it the next colour, and use a rattle can on with it, simplifies that particular step of painting, and like with Nathan's done there with decals right the way over. I happen to think, though, that obviously for that type of thing, like Nathan's saying, because I actually have, I should have got it out, I know Nathan got it, it's under here somewhere. I've got the decal sheets as well, the Avantique decal sheets. Because they sent me them for review and shown them as well, and I've got a couple of their kits over there. And yeah, they are fantastic because, again, you've got texture that, like Nathan says, you can't put that texture down. Yeah. There's no way of doing it, not unless you're going to put down some type of fabric and then physically spray on and get it to weather through. So from that point of view, it is adding definitely another element and another scale item to your model. But I do get the point where you feel like it's not yours because you've almost wrapped it and you've lost all of your work's now gone. And what you're physically seeing is somebody else's artwork.
I'm seeing that there's no personality in it. It feels like I'm painting by numbers.
Yeah.
And that's maybe after I've finished it, got flat coats on and weathered it, it might come back to... But I think the colours are too bright.
Yeah.
And I suppose you've got that, however unlikely it might seem, if something messes up now, you can't just like strip it back and respray it like you can with a normal kit. If something goes wrong...
Yeah, if you accidentally catch it with some sellotape. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely screwed. So I've been decaling it for about 3 nights. I might feel better about it once I've got the sealer coats on, the flat coats and the weathering. I'm going to have to put a filter over it because I think it's too bright.
Yes.
But then I've got the problem is I can't mask it.
No.
Because it looks like if I look at it funny, a decal's going to peel. It's just, I don't know, I'm just not... I can't complain about it because it's done exactly what it was supposed to do, but I'm just not happy with it.
I'm sure it'll look cracking though when it's finished.
It will. I think it'll look absolutely fantastic. And again, it may be because at the moment you're into that thing of it being just surfaces, so by the time you've got the engine in, the wheels and the other bits and pieces, it'll become more of yours again. You'll see your work coming through.
But what I don't know about the main kit, it's a bit flashy. And I've never built a wingnut wings kit, so I don't know if that's normal. But I've got a little bit of the same sort of... got little bits of flash and mould lines to clean up. But it's my first wingnut wings kit. It's my first time I've done 32 in forever. I don't know. I think it'll be all right. It's gonna go next to my other Red Baron aircraft, and it is what it is.
Well, it'd be interesting to see some nice close-up photos of it, and we'll say that's a lovely wrap.
David says, "Why don't you paint it yourself?"
I've thought that. That thought has crossed my mind. There's a bit of an issue with the leading edge of the wing, so I'm going to have to fix that. But I have thought, to be honest, just getting tape on it and just...
The wings are easy, aren't they? It's the body, but you'd have to use oils, wouldn't you, really, to get that effect?
Yeah.
Of the painted. Yeah.
I've crossed my mind, if I'm honest, David, just to thought, screw this for, and I've got a bit of an issue here where I've not got the leading edge lined up properly, so I'm going to have to do some masking and spraying here, and then it's like, oh god, So,
I think I don't know, Nathan, you might know more than this about me, but Neil's saying in there about that he's not sure it's painted on. It was done basically like a patchwork quilt. I don't think it was. I think they were painted on, the lozenge type camos and that, weren't they?
I think the lozenge ones were I think these streaks were painted on.
Yeah.
The lozenges, I think, were fabric. Came
You haven't
like
got lozenge on that one anyway, have you?
There's no lozenge on, but the streak in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was painted,
I
yeah.
think that was painted on.
Hmm.
But the lozenge where you see like almost like the Saab Vigan type pattern, I think that was fabric sheets that came out of the factory like that. But I mean, if you were going to build like a 48 scale Saab Vigan, would you decal it like this? Would you feel like you've cheated?
So yeah, that's an interesting point, I have to say.
Yeah, but a Vigan you'd mask off though, wouldn't you? Like you were doing splinter camo sort of thing. But
I just
you can't really
like,
mask that off and do that, can you? You'd have to.
I just
You'd
feel
have to
like
paint it by hand, wouldn't you?
I just feel like I've cheated.
You'll be
Special
fine.
person,
You'll be
yeah.
absolutely fine. Anyway, John, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Oh, we're missing the team. Hold on, John's on one. There we go. How's
I'm
your
good,
week
thanks. I've not been doing a lot certainly not in here. I've not been doing an awful lot, to be honest.
been? Yo.
So yeah, it's a bit of a lull at the moment.
Well,
But,
you finished one kit after a long project.
For the year.
yeah, I mean, I've got me MIG up there that's still going on. That's all primed up, ready to go. And I've sort of started the hind for iSig. But that's been at a standstill. It's just been one of those weeks where I've not really felt like doing much. So I'm sure I'll get back on it soon.
Yes, fair enough. That's all good. And, sorry, I will work this out by the time because Matt's not here. My buttons are all out of sequence. Andy, how are you? How's life this week?
Yeah, you know. Again, I've not been in here much and done anything. I've literally done absolutely nothing on modelling wise at all this past week. Been sort of getting the site ready for the weekend. Editing Matt's videos.
Or at the back of his head, one or the other. He's not able to defend himself. He's fine.
The new ones that he's done now we've got it sussed. The quality is a lot better, which hopefully will be noticed in the next video. A lot better. So hopefully going forward we should be all right with them. Hopefully. Just getting stuff ready, basically.
Fair enough. And obviously getting stuff all ready for the weekend.
Yep, and we should have some nice little bargains and plenty of things going on.
Cool, very good. Sorry, I'm just queuing something else up on the side here whilst people can't see it. Hold on, talk to yourself.
Just to answer a question that we were talking about beforehand, and I've had a couple of emails about. We're still not shipping to Europe. If you want flooring models stuff, you can go to
Serious Hobbies.
If you want flooring model stuff. Kits wise, we're not shipping at the moment. It's all to do with the VAT and the way we have to do VAT. And if we were to do it properly how we should do, we'd have to alter the whole site, which is tens of thousands of lines to mess around with. It's going to cause us a right hassle. So at the moment we're still not not shipping to Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, you can go through Serious Models if you want Philips stuff.
Yes, definitely. It is that thing, like we said before, me and Andy were actually discussing this just before we came on. The way, obviously, in the UK, we know it's slightly differently from the US and obviously sometimes in Europe, but in the UK, we're used to seeing the price with the tax added. So it's all in one. It's no nasty surprise we get your checkout. When you buy stuff in the UK, you look at it, and if it says on there, it's £5, you get to the checkout, it's £5. But obviously we do know, obviously in the States, because you have different VATs and there's different things added per state and stuff like that, that you're used to having it more gets added at the end, and then you obviously have your taxes put on and all your bits and pieces. But we could do it that way, but as Andy did point out earlier, we've got, how many was it, 1,300, 13,000, whatever it is?
But nearly 1,800 I think it was.
1,800 lines of product.
So
for us to actually go around and change them all, we'd have to take the site down for a bit.
3,700.
Yes, there we go. 3,700 lines down in there. So we'd actually have to go back in and close the site down for a few days and then manually have to change it all over. And none of us fancy doing that one at the moment, thank you. Not for the amount of work that we do with it anyway, isn't it? So
Yeah, it causes a massive amount of headache. And if we do charge VAT at point to Europe, then we have to then pay the VAT to the taxman in those particular countries, or via a company, don't we? The tax to be paid, it just causes more hassles. And if we don't pay if we take the VAT off and then it shows it on our site as no VAT, it just
it does get very confusing, as we're probably confusing everybody now. But it's one of those things where it's just as easy to stick as we do it for the moment. One day when we're big and get everything sorted, then it may be different. But at the moment, it's our little way of doing it, so to speak. So what I've been working on this week, obviously you've seen lots and lots of different bits and pieces going on, but also on the actual main site I've got entire new areas have been set up for it. So we've got the bite size with the airbrushing, we've got all of those ones which people often ask about, like obviously about the spray booths, the mask and that. You've seen all these before, but then obviously we've got the airbrush system coming in here, and also I've done a couple of, like, obviously the big high-res photos so you can see exactly what we're on about as well as we've been discussing these things. So as I say, I know sometimes it's easier to see a picture than it is for us to try and describe it, so we've done lots of those as well. So as these are getting sort of put in and done, it's all being filtered into these ones. So these are the new 101 areas I call it at the moment. We've also got the one where we've been working on this Spitfire, so again we've got the big high-res photos in here showing it a little bit better about when we're going down and doing bits and pieces as well as the video. So this is the one that you would have seen on the Tuesday show, which is like an hour and 15 minutes, but also it's broken up to the bite-sized ones down in here as well. So that's how that's working, and I've just got to complete and get the rest of it all redone. So from my point of view, it's just that thing of getting in there, having to re-edit everything again, and then getting the photos for it, the high res and everything else, and put them in. So my goal was to have it done by the end of the month. Well, it failed. So
long night then, Phil.
yeah, it was the thing to try and get it all sorted and everything else. But that's why I know I've had a few people mention about, I keep showing a Spitfire and you haven't seen it. Obviously if you saw the Thursday show you would have done, because it's like a bite-sized build on this one. So I've covered each area in section. And then obviously there's going to be another part 2 to that, which we'll talk about obviously filling, because we've done some filler work, and on this one I've used 4 different ways of doing filling with it, and then obviously we're going to be talking about rescribing, re-riveting, then we'll put primer down on this, and then we're going to do basic airbrushing work with it again, so it'll flick between both as well as doing everything else as well. So again, this is sort of the basic version, and like I was saying on Thursday, I've got a Mustang down there as well, which I'm going to do for the sort of more advanced side of things. So we'll be going through, so we won't cover like basics because we've done it down in there, but the more advanced side of it, so some more perhaps advanced types of filling and rescribing and re-riveting, and then obviously we'll be talking about advanced paint work and weathering and all those types of things. So that's how that one's going to work anyway. But the plan was to get it all done this month, but clearly that's gone slightly out the window with everything that's been going on. So but we're getting there soon, so give it another week. By next Friday I'll have that finished, and both those new 101 sections will go up. But as I said, I have already put up the hour and 15, just one lump of it goes up, is done anyway. So that one is over on the Tuesday show if you haven't actually seen that one as it makes its way through. So yes, that's what I've been doing. And sander packs, funnily enough. So PM's had theirs, or will do tomorrow. They'll rack up and everything else. Brett's had a restock as well, gone out to him. And Serious Models you just saw in Greece, they've had their restock done as well. So that's gone out today as well. So yeah, full on. So yes, going very, very well. Anyway, big talk today is about, is it too big and is it too expensive? So obviously this follows on from yesterday's talk where we were talking about obviously the border models. I'm just going to call it border models because Wing That Wings doesn't exist anymore, and we're not sure how, what and where's between the two now. So we're just going to call it border models Lancaster. So this is, if you don't know, if you have been born literally under a rock, the Wing That Wings Lancaster, which we all fell in love with and we all saw a couple of years ago, has surfaced after a little bit of, there was a bit of talk about where it might come up, and eventually Border Models have fessed up that they've got it, they've bought the moulds, and they are pushing on with the release around about Christmas time.
Sounds like they've had it for a while as well, haven't they?
Well, yeah. Well, technically they will, I think it was around about Christmas last year, so that's when it all sort of happened. But they apparently, well, to put this story somewhat straight, what happened is that back when we all saw it, and I know a lot of you saw it because it went sort of global, Wing That Wings were taking it around the show circuit in 2018. Because remember this now.
When I saw it at Telford,
It was in 2018, and we all saw it. Me and the guys were all talking to the guys from Wing That Wings, and they did say to us that it's got a problem. There's some areas that it's gone through tooling and that which are not totally happy with, and it needed to be changed, and it needed to have some modifications done to it, so it will then get retooled and then it'll be released. And we were told at the time, I think it was going to put it back by about 6 months or something else like that, which was at the time fair enough. It's going to be a good old kit, and that was it. Obviously a few months after that, things started to go a little bit pear-shaped at Wing That Wings. And obviously things became, ground to a halt and all the rest of it. And then the uncertainties, and obviously with COVID, and then what was going on, because nobody quite sure what was going on Wing That Wings. So it just went incredibly quiet. And then obviously Wing That Wings closed and went down. The staff all went their own separate ways, or coming back together now with any luck, and everything else like that. So again, there was lots of speculation about what was going to happen to the molds, where they were going. And then as Nathan's got there, the Wing That Wings kit, first one, turned up with Meng, who released it under their own, not mentioning at all it's Wing That Wings or anything else. It turns out it was. And I know what's his name on the forum and that says about, it's got this, that, and it's got warped wings and that. Well, that's more to do with packaging than it is warped wings. Because again, what happened was apparently in packaging, it was packaged in the wrong way. So that's why the seat was pushing into the underside of the wing, which then bends the wings, and that's how it happened. So it's not so much an engineering error, it's more of a packaging error, because when they were compressed into the box, they didn't quite fit properly, and there was always pressure onto them, hence why some of them broke in transit as well. So that was the problem with that one, just to clear that up. But generally it was this thing about the what's happened with the Lancaster. 2-3 weeks ago now, it sort of went hyper again, because one of the test shots ended up in Taiwan by a Taiwanese builder who's been building it for ages, but for some reason it suddenly went viral on the internet when a few people got hold of it and chucked it round, and everything went mad about it. This week, or last week I should say, we then got informed that Border Models have got it. They're working on it. They apparently weren't happy with how they got it and had to upgrade or fix some problems with the mold, but I think that again could be something to do with lost in translation. I think this is what Wing That Wings told us at Telford that they were going to fix anyway, but perhaps didn't actually do it. So I think then Border Models were aware of this and had to figure out what needed changing, where and how to make it correct. So I think that's why there was that delay into it and everything else. Anyway, short and curlies of it is, it's turned up and it is available to buy. So again, no one's physically seen it properly yet. No one's seen the instructions, so no one knows what theirs are like. But we have seen the artwork, which looks really nice because it's the original commissioned artwork that Wing That Wings were going to use. And to be honest, it looks fantastic. It was on yesterday's show, and all the rest of it. The sticky wicket is the price. So I speculated, and I didn't know until literally, after the show, well after the show was recorded, and then I was informed how much it was going to cost, and all the rest of it. And it was a case of, it's going to be around about 700 quid in the UK, and it's going to be limited because there isn't that many of them being done. And obviously from a worldwide release point of view, the amount that are going to actually reach our shores in the UK is going to be very limited. So again, it was one of those things. So immediately you've got everybody sort of jumping on saying, well, Border Models have got it, which seems a little bit odd. And obviously you've got the thing about the price as well. My point of view as well, it's still a 32nd scale Lancaster, which is absolutely huge. I've had one here. I've never built one, but John Tigger Wilkes, good friend of mine, he only lives down the road. He bought his up here when he finished it, and then again we saw it at Telford as well. And the thing is just massive. It dwarfs my B52. You know, that's how big this thing is, and it's heavy and it's cumbersome, and it's even a hard thing to work on. Like John was saying, just to hold this thing as you're painting it, it's a good workout, and things like that. So, and I can totally agree. It is one of those things, and people immediately were like, "What? Jesus Christ, that's like 700 quid." In the UK price. It may be a bit cheaper in other areas, let's face it, it normally is. And that was the thing. But it has, again, like on our forum with you guys, we've almost got 100 posts about it. Some of you saying it seems cheap, some of you saying that's horrendously expensive. So, that's here or there. But anyway, my point of view to it, 3 things. First of all, does this make it a vanity kit? Because you know full well there's going to be a certain people, and I would name them, but I won't, who do videos on YouTube and social media and all the rest of it, will buy it purely to be putting it together. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, because it's the vanity thing of building it and all the rest of it and going through the motions of it. You know, so you've got that thing about having it. You've also got obviously other people who are just going to sit on it because it's like a collector's item, because it is a limited edition after all and all the rest of it. So you're going to have those people. Then you are definitely going to get the scalpers out there. So you're going to get people who are going to buy it and they're going to stick it straight back up on eBay for an inflated price like graphics cards.
Can I just pause you one sec?
Yeah.
So, Simon said it's going to be £500 in the UK or £750 in the it isn't. It's £799, or is it £699?
No, £699 it is.
We've had the
Yes, we've been given a price for it for us to sell it if we wanted to.
From the importers into the UK.
Yeah.
That's the retail price.
Yes. So the recommended retail price, and that's the one that we've been given from the UK importer of border models, has said it is £699. So, you know, again, we might be able to do something on that. Different conversation, clearly. We'll save that for a Wednesday show. But, you know, again, for our point of view, I know people have mentioned it to me already. It would have to be a pre-order because we're not sitting on that type of kit. Plus, I'm not being funny, it is going to be limited into the UK anyway, and we couldn't guarantee getting them. So, yeah, it does make it a little bit tricky on that one all round. So anyway, that's the point to it. Also, as I said, it's a huge big kit. So what do you do with it once it's built? You know, again, it's one of those. A lot of us wouldn't have anywhere to put it. Like from my point of view, you know, to be honest, I've got quite a big place here. I've got the unit. You know, I've got my wall space. I could probably find somewhere to put it by hanging it on a wall. But just to have it sitting, I've got nowhere to put it. Physically, wouldn't have anywhere to put it. And even going back to my commission days, even if I was doing commission work and I was to offer it up as a commission bill, because that's what I used to do. I used to do a little bit of a mail shot quarterly to all my clients, listing kits that have become available and I could do builds for, so forth and so on. And knowing their setups and how they work and what they do and things like that, about how many of them would actually want a 32nd scale Lancaster. 48 scale, probably most of them, but 32nd scale, probably 2 out of them all. So that limits it as well from that point of view. So anyway, what's your opinion on it, Nathan?
I'm not getting one.
No.
There's no way. I mean, if I wind back to the meeting we had at Telford in 2018, when they had the nose art ones,
yes,
I was interested in that because it's just ginormous. Like you've already said, it's too big for me. My personal preference, I know you've said cutting mite size, I'm kind of thinking A4 size paper is comfortable for me to build in the space that I've got, because I couldn't spray it in here. I'd be like, I just wouldn't do it. But £700, I'd get a MacBook. I'd go to Apple Store and get a laptop for that sort of money, and I'd get 10 years of a laptop.
Yeah,
you know. Because, I mean, £700, that's what I'd spend that money on. If I had that sort of money, I'd be going to the Apple Store. I can't see it giving me £700 worth of modelling pleasure.
Yes.
You know, it's not going to give me £700 of enjoyment. So I'm sort of thinking, if I've got £700, I'm a little bit short of a laptop. That's where I'd spend the money.
And I have to say, just out of interest, like we're saying it's 700 quid, and again, there is more details to come of this kit. That's all I'm going to say. But we imagine you might need some aftermarket bits as well to go with this, because as far as I know, it doesn't come with metal barrels. It might not come with various things. I don't even know if it comes with a mast set. So, you know, and again, even though it's Wing That Wings, and as I say, I've seen it, and to be honest, I think I even said at the time when we were looking at it, you wouldn't need any aftermarket on that because it is beautifully detailed. But, you know, that's assumed that perhaps you do throw a few bits of aftermarket as well, like a crew. We know those are coming down the line, and various things about it. Immediately, that's going to put the price up even higher as you make your way through. So,
I just think it's not. I think if you do the pounds per hour calculation, which we've all done in the past, scale modelling is a cheap hobby. I think pounds per hour on a Lancaster. I mean, you're going to spend a whole year building it. I just the size was the thing that put me off. And when I saw the nose art ones, I thought they look good. I'd get one of them.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, if you're going north of £100 for a model kit, I'm stepping away. Really, that's the most I've spent, is about the 90-100 mark. I can't justify £700.
See, in chat, Paul Soulsby says that it took him 9 months to do the HK Lancaster.
Right.
And he didn't buy another kit during those 9 months. So how much would the average modeller spend in 9 months on kits?
It's fuzzy logic now, isn't it?
Again, the trouble with that is it's very subjective, isn't it? Because also you have to factor in that to some people, 700 quid for a plastic kit is the equivalent of that to anyone else. So again, it's one of those things, and again, it's a bit like it might take one modeller 5 years to put it together. So it's a really cheap model if it's going to do that. But then if you're doing it for somebody else or a commission, you might need to knock that out in 2 weeks. So it's a very expensive kit from that point of view, doing it that way. So, again, it's very subjective to the modeler itself, isn't it? Like cost of, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, I know I was talking about it earlier, but saying it's 700 quid sounds a lot of money. But I was going to do this in a minute, but I might as well do it now. If you go back and look at some of these are the ones that I've built, which are probably one of my most expensive kits that I've done, that you guys have seen as video builds. So we got the Bandai Perfect Grade Millennium Falcon. You think, that's 350 quid to 400 quid. That's not a cheap model. And that goes together really easily and very quickly, to be honest. It's not, it's not, it doesn't take you months and months to put it together. The Mobius, the walking stick, as I call it, probably the slinkiest thing you could build. The XD1, this is the 2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah. That's 200 quid. And I think it was around about 250 quid. They're really hard to find. And I did hear one going the other week, because I saw it on eBay. And that was 350 quid. And it was like... anyway, the Tamiya 112 Porsche. Do you remember we had that one, Andy?
Yeah.
We've got over there. That's 460 quid. So that's quite expensive. The Mosquito, which, to be honest, me and Andy were talking about just before the show. I was like Andy. I bought mine when it very first got released, and it was 90 quid. But as a retail price, it was, it was the average price of a 32nd scale Tamiya kit now. I had a look just before we came on air. That's 220 quid if you wanted to buy it now. So that's expensive. But if you factor in that I spent probably around about, I think we did the total budget, just came in just under 500 quid with all the aftermarket that it didn't need. And I don't recommend anyone ever get for it. Came in, the actual full budget on that particular build. And then you've got, like we were talking, because technically you're talking about a short run kit, something a little bit specialist. So then if you move into the specialist companies out there who handle this type of stuff, so HPH is just one off the top of our head. The Catalina we often joke about, because I've always said I'd love to build it. That's £720 if you wanted to build that particular kit. If you wanted to build that's a 132nd Catalina. If you wanted to build a 132nd C47, Skytrain or DC3 Dakota as we know it in the UK, that's 750 quid, plus probably another couple of hundred quid because there's aftermarket available for that one as well. And then the king of the hill at the moment, which we only spoke about a couple of weeks ago, which makes this all pale into insignificance, if you do want a 48 scale B52, that's £1,000. But again, if you wanted the detail bomb bay for it, that's another £100. And if you wanted the flap system for it as well, the detail version, that's another £100, which are available as aftermarket by HPH. So really it's 1,200 quid for a 48 scale B52. So in some ways, you're into that thing now. Doesn't seem so bad, 700 quid for a Lanc.
Yeah, still need a HP agreement to afford it, though.
Well, yes, that's why they call themselves HPH. It's hire purchase. It should be HPM, hire purchase models.
Yeah, I think the problem is that all of those, most of those others that we've talked about just then, there's nothing else to compare them to, is there? Whereas the Lancaster, you've got the HKM Lancaster to compare it to, which is half the price. Yeah, so like then you start thinking, well, do I buy HKM one for 350 quid, or do I spend, or less? But you can get them less than that, or that's the retail price, or do you spend 700 quid on the border models one?
Border models, yes, kit. And I think that's the interesting thing to it all, isn't it? And I don't know if it's official yet, so I'm not going to say it, but it may be that the certain other manufacturer, Hong Kong models, may be releasing other versions of their Lancaster with nice bits with it for a very competitive price.
If it was me, the way I spend money on the hobby,
yes.
If I was to build a 32nd Lancaster, I'd be waiting a bit and buy one that I'd have to wait for. So I'd be going for the border models one if it was me. But then I'm stupid like that and spend silly amounts of money on stuff.
But then you're into that thing, isn't it? Which is a classic example. It goes back a few steps to the Tamiya Mosquito. So when the Tamiya Mosquito got released, at the same time, the aftermarket guys were all over it like a rash. So immediately, Edard came out with beautiful Merlin engines. These things are model kits on their own, and they are amazing. So before I even got the kit, I had all the aftermarket for it. So I bought the gun base, I bought the actual cockpit for it, I bought 2 engines, and they were like 90 quid, I think, for the pair. And then obviously I bought the bomb bay for it, we bought the belly, we did the wheels, we did all the other bits and pieces to sort of upgrade it. But actually what happened was that it didn't need it. The kit was good enough on its own. Instead of literally spending, as I did, the best part of 200 odd quid, 250 quid on aftermarket for it, the kit part just needed a little bit of lead wire, a bit of, detail here and there, perhaps a little, bit of photo etch and stuff onto it to really bring it up to where it was with all the aftermarket in. So it didn't need spending all that work. So again, if you're looking at like the HK one at half the price, you could spend a little bit on aftermarket for it and end up with something which, again, we were talking about it yesterday, and having not seen the Wing That Wings, I can't comment on it. But it is that thing, though, is that the part count is higher, apparently, on the HK models than it is on the Wing That Wings kit.
Yeah, it's only like partial interior when it was Wing That Wings, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They only did the visible bits.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go back to Telford when I saw it. I thought, that's going to be the best plastic model kit ever released. But I don't want it because it's just too big and too expensive.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the benchmark kit for a decade. I thought it's going to no one's going to better that kit for a long time. The skin, the skin effect, the detail in your Wing Nut Wings quality, we were like, wow, that's amazing. I'm glad they've made it. I'm glad they've done it with all the sort of oil canning.
Yeah.
Because I think what that kit will do is set a benchmark for other companies to follow, maybe in smaller scales or smaller models, Spitfires or whatever. But I knew at the point it wasn't for me, and I think at the time we were thinking it's 450-ish, 500-ish.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm thinking of is if you spend £700 on one kit, what else could you do with that £700? And you could just have a massive pile of kits.
But then
last you 5 years. So I think it's trade-off. I think £700 in one kit versus £700 on a stash, basically. 7 very nice kits.
I agree. For me, it's not the price that puts me off; it's the size.
Yeah.
Because, like we were talking before, where would you put it?
Yeah.
Literally. I mean,
Well, yeah. Go on. I'll be controversial here. I'll say between the Hong Kong and this border models one, I don't think there's going to be any comparison with it because you're not going to see that many built to be able to compare the two.
No.
Because people that do buy this border models one, it'll just sit in the stash. You'll see very, very few built. Because either people will be too intimidated by it and think I'm not good enough to build it, put it in the stash.
Yeah.
Or people just buy it to sit on it to make money on it.
I mean, have any of us bought a Hong Kong model one that's half the price?
I haven't. I've literally, as I say, I've just seen John's. I reviewed their other stuff and bits and pieces, but I haven't do a side-by-side build. Yeah, I might be here a while then, and I need an extension. But again, having seen John's one, I can honestly say it was like, that's actually really nice, because John built that one the year we saw the actual Hong Kong model, the Wingnut Wings one. And the thing that stands up with the Wingnut Wings one is the level of detail is just a little bit more. It's got that sort of, I don't know, it's got that real scale effect to it. It's busy enough internally, where the HK one, well, Andy's seen it because obviously Matt's working on the nose section. There's not much going on in there. There's not as much detail in the parts. Like the gun area looks like, if anyone's ever seen a Lancaster, you'll know how the hell the crew fit in the gun areas is beyond me, because it's just a mangle of metal and all sorts in there and glass. It looks that busy, where the Hong Kong models one looked quite basic, so it's very difficult to sort of do a side by side against them as well, because once you paint them up and you lose some of that detail as well, so I think that can be a little bit of it as well. But I think it's in one of those areas. The biggest thing that jumped out to me was just the surface detail. When you look at the HK one, it's flat. It's got riveting detail, and it's got obviously the surface detail. We've done reviews of it. You can go off and see the review of it is actually in the review section. But when you look at the Wingnut Wings one, it looks like it should look like. If you've ever seen a Lancaster up close, you'll know, like all big bombers, they've got that nice ripply oil canned effect to the actual metalwork. And they've captured it beautifully in scale, and it just absolutely pops straight away. So full well, unless you're a bit of an animal and just paint it black and leave it, you think with a little bit of work onto that paint work and a little bit of dry brushing, some nice synthetic oils, things like that on there, it will pop and it will look absolutely stunning. And again, this goes back to that big thing. As soon as you get into the bigger scales, you need a level of detail in there. You need to make it busy, because otherwise you end up with big flat areas. And again, to be honest, like with the Vulcan, I think if this was just white, it would look quite plain, because it's just flat. We are going to do a bit more weather into this one, but again, it's one of those ones where, underneath it looks a little bit more busy because it's weathered under there. Top side isn't really weathered, it's quite normal. But I think it's that thing where the bigger the models you get, the bigger the scales, the more you've got to have, the more the eye needs to dance around and look at, which can be done, like Nathan's doing there with his very nice scheme on his Fokker there. But again, if you're having to paint it on, you've got to paint all those things in to make the eye move around.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question for chat? Who would buy this particular kit?
I think everybody would.
No, I mean, but who genuinely would buy it? If when it comes out, who is genuinely?
I think two sides of the question. I'll break up the question and we'll see how much it would go. Okay, so if everybody had the space, so if space wasn't a problem, and you had somewhere to display it and it would look fantastic, would you buy it for 700 quid? So start that one again. So if you had the space and it's just 700 quid, would you do it? That's still a lot of no's. That's still no, yes.
There's a couple of people that
there's
would.
A couple of yeses, but mainly it's no.
It's going to be low volume. It's niche, isn't it? And would you buy it if it was half the price?
Yeah, you beat me there, Dave. Okay, so forget it's 700 quid, and that's assumed that the Hong Kong one is 300 quid. If it would have been 400 quid, would you buy it?
It's still going to be no, isn't it?
Before we just asked that question, it was counted how many said yes. I think there was 5 that said yes, which is probably about 10% of the number of people that's in chat at the moment.
Still no.
It's still very niche, isn't it? It's like 10, 15%.
But 10% isn't bad though, is it? Out of a...
I don't know. It's a straw poll, isn't it? But yeah.
David, that doesn't surprise me. In fact, I did say to Matt, I bet you have one. Okay, so next question. All right, this is all totally hypothetical, all of this, before everyone starts thinking I know something, 'cause clearly I know nothing. I just guess a lot. I've been doing this far too long, clearly. If it was 1/48 scale, right? So this is 1/48 scale, so now it's a lot more of a manageable size, because obviously, you know, we've seen the HK1 is, and it'd say it would have been 300 quid. So that's still a lot of money for a 48 scale kit, but the scale is a lot more manageable and you've got all of that amazing detail. Would you do it? Would you pay 300 quid if it was 48 scale? That's the question.
It's
still a lot of no's in there. Now, to be honest, I'm surprised because I would. I thought if it's a really nice done 48 scale, I would quite happily pay good money for it, or strong money as they say in the auction world.
I think if we're talking hypothetically, if people are saying no to the whole thing, which I think the majority is saying no, how much is the nose section worth if and when that comes out?
Yeah,
that's the one I'd get, but still mindful of how much it would cost.
So I think the 48 would be completely hypothetical because they've done none of the development on the 32nd one, have they?
No, and
they've not got anything for it at all.
And as we know, the crossover is a no-no. It's a non-starter. We've looked into this and things, and it can't be done.
But at least HK had the all the paper, all the stuff for it. When they did the 32nd to do the 48th one.
So again, it's interesting because it seems like no, and sometimes I know what can happen is that a kit, I don't know, because it's that top tier, it's very easy to get kicked in for it. You know, people don't like it because it's that particular branding, and you know, it's why people hate Ferraris and Aston. Oh, I never owned one. If you won one, you wouldn't get rid of it. That's all I'm saying. But you know, you always get that thing. Oh, I'd never drive one of those. It's not my type of thing at all. But it's one of those where sometimes I think kits do, because we've had it happen in the past where there's so much negativity because of a price or a scale and that. It's funny how it sort of rolls downhill. It doesn't matter really how much you make it cheaper and all the rest of it. It seems to have that still sort of negative attitude on the kit now, and sometimes I think that can hurt a brand quite a lot.
It's interesting. A couple of people are thinking £100 for a nose section. But I think that's my top end kit money anyway. I think that's I'm uncomfortable going past £100.
Yeah, the thing is, Peter, I can tell you now, the Wing That Wings version would never have been 400 quid. I can tell you that straight off the bat. I know they was pushing around some prices and that, but nothing had even been tooled, nothing had even gone through at that point. And it was never going to be that price, because we've seen it before where kits have been somewhat touted in the bracket when it's going through development, but by the time it's come through and out the other end, it was.
I seem to remember at the time them sort of like saying, was it about 450 mark at the time? But I mean, talking 3 years ago now, and there's a lot changed since in those 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'd say you could at least chuck another 150 quid on top.
I think it was going to be another 150 quid on top from what I was hearing through the grapevine and all the rest of it, purely because, as I say, I know people who are in direct competition, so they know what's going on and things like that as well. So, you know, and again, these companies, they're like every other company. They'll sit around a table, they'll design a kit, and they'll sit there and they say, right, this is the plan for this one. We want to do this. It's got to come out under this price bracket. So, you know, you've got your development times costed in and all the other things, but the main cost of it really is going to come down to tooling costs, injection molding and things like that. And obviously as the world goes along and things are delayed, prices go up, as we know. Forget COVID and all the rest of it, because that's just made things go stupid. But, you know, and I know through colleagues of mine that I've worked with and that, you know, you get to the point where some very heated discussions take place when kits are taking too long to come out. And obviously the thing is, the tooling cost is going up, or the actual plastic cost is going up. So the neat price of the kit is going up as well. And again, it can, you know, that's when sometimes kits literally just don't come out and we never see them. And we've had this happen from other manufacturers before. But it's, in some ways, you have to say that has the company made the right decision that the kit never saw the light of day purely because it couldn't be done for the price? And if they had done, it would have been a ridiculous price and nobody would have bought it. Then you get, like I was getting at here, this sort of negative attitude to the kit. No matter how much it would have been or anything else, people won't buy it for the sake of it. And that's, you know, what tends to happen. And we've seen kits sometimes delayed until things are more favourable. Then they release it a little bit later on and things like that. So, yeah, I think it's a difficult thing to do. I suppose my sort of summing up here, I'm glad it's coming out. I'm not going to build one because it's too big, and I can't really warrant throwing 700 quid at a kit, because from my point of view I'd have to build it in 2 months, and that's a very expensive build over 2 months to do. And it's gonna, to be honest, I can't even take it up to the unit because they ain't got any room up there to have it anyway. That's going to hang it off the office ceiling.
To just play devil's advocate again, because I mean, I would certainly, I've no interest in the subject anyway, so I wouldn't buy it at all. Or I wouldn't even be interested if someone gave it to me. But there's been a massive, I mean, it's been the buzz, hasn't it, for the last few weeks since it was announced. It's been the buzz, the talk. Do you think it would have been caused the same fuss and uproar if Wingnut Wings was still in existence? And
no, I think you're quite right, John.
It?
I think if Wingnut Wings had come along and said it was going to be 700 quid, it wouldn't have made that wouldn't have been it. It would have been it's coming out, and I don't think anybody would have quibbled at the price, you know?
Yeah, I'm not talking about the price, I'm just talking about the fuss and the furore over the kit.
No, I don't think it would have done. If Wingnut Wings had carried along to their original plans and everything else like that, I think it literally would have been, you know, a straightforward release that we were all expecting. But because it did die off, and it was probably their most anticipated release, let's face it. Because if anybody's not into World War One, and to be honest, I'm not, so it is that thing, isn't it, where actually that looks very nice, and it's got fantastic detail.
Because I always think that if there was the interest in Wingnut Wings that there seems to be now, Wingnut Wings possibly could still be in business.
That's the irony of it, isn't it?
It is the irony of it, yeah, absolutely, I agree. Totally agree.
But then that's the same with a lot of musicians, isn't it? They don't...
until they're dead. Yeah.
Until they're dead. They don't nothing ever happen.
Wasn't it? I think Spitting Image did a very good thing once, and they were saying to a certain someone about, it's a bit time you died. Because, quite frankly, you're going to be worth a lot more dead than alive.
Yeah.
Back in the day, wasn't it? You need an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it not just that it's one of the lost treasures that's sort of sudden reappeared?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was going to be the best kit ever, and then it was almost
like DeLorean.
Away. Yeah.
I think
no one wanted them. They went bust, and then they got very, very popular, and everybody wanted one.
That was because of the film, though, wasn't it?
But again, just a little bit too late. If they could have held on, it would have been fine. But yeah, I think, you know, it's one of those things. I think it's one of those arguments that will just rattle on. And from my point of view, you know what's going to happen is there's going to be a handful of YouTubers, and they will be fighting over this just to be the first to get it up there. That social media rat race and all the rest of it. And that's where you're going to see them. I don't think you're going to see many at model shows, because let's face it, they'll be taking up a table on its own, won't it?
Yeah.
6 foot table, you can just about get that and you pack lunch on.
Peter's saying that I think it doesn't matter which way they cut it. The border model's price is so crazy. I've lost it, but alienating potential customers. The thing is it's one of those things, though, that I'm positive they'll sell every single one of them they can produce.
I think they'll sell their run, yeah.
Well, I can guarantee, and you know, you can see us talking about it yesterday with me, Matt, and Andy, and like I said, they're doing it as a limited run. I can guarantee this limited run will sell out easily, no problem at all. They could probably do more, but what they're doing is they're going to get back all the money it's owed them through that limited run, and with any luck, a bit of change as well. And then I think what you'll see is that then they'll be vindicated because the company's strong, it's made its money, and also, as we said before, it's fantastic advertising for them. You know, they were doing quite well, to be honest, by releasing the 35th scale stuff. But now to do this on top of them, it makes them a very strong brand straight off the bat because it's knowledgeable. And, you know, advertising, you can pay millions for advertising. So they've done something like this and it's free advertising for them. I think what will happen is this limited edition, then we might see another version come along. And I'm not saying it's going to be cheaper or anything else like that, but then that can be a way of them, you know, actually then progressing it on with it. So as we know, I can't imagine it's going to come out as in all three very quickly. But as we know, they were working on the Downbuster version, and then obviously we know that the Tallboy version was coming along. So, you know, from that point of view, they got 3 kits to come out of this, and they should make some money out of them all. Maybe they might be cheaper. I doubt it. But
Jez has asked a question. He says, any chance you could answer about PM Models doing a pre-order? The 3 things we talked about yesterday about pre-order was that with the box art, we've got the box art, we've got the price, we've got a price, and then we know availability. That's the biggest thing that scares the hell out of me is availability, because we know it's limited run anyway. We know it's going to be limited coming into this country. If we got 3 people saying they wanted to buy one on pre-order, then yeah, we should be able to fulfil the pre-order. If we've got 20 people said they wanted one on pre-order, me feeling that would be going on holiday somewhere, and
yeah, that's it. We're off.
but it's whether or not we'd ever be able to get them. That's the problem, because it's not knowing how many. I'm sure even the import. There's one company that import them into the country.
Yes.
And I'm sure they don't know how many they're going to get.
No.
And every single model shop is going to be wanted. Not even model shops, but also the
big retail stores, isn't it? The online retailers.
Yeah.
We only get them all out the same place because there's only one importer.
Yeah.
I think what we can do, you know, obviously I know Matt's not here, but, you know, I think what we could do is we can do a pre-order for it, but we will put a disclaimer. There's no guarantees we can actually get it. I mean, obviously we don't want to leave people disappointed, you know, because we don't want to be in a situation, you know, and because we've been caught before. Luckily, we've managed to fulfill through other routes, but sometimes we've had people and it's like we've sold 75 of a kit and we can only get 50. And then we're scrambling trying to find the rest of them to fulfill, and that's just on a bigger one. So something else like this, it's a bit smaller, but again, I've been told this is going to be a limited run, and it is proper limited. So then when you think about, well, if it's limited, there's only so many places, and also I've been told it's going to be very limited in the UK on top of that as well. So when I'm hearing it's going to be limited in the first place, limited there, and there, I'm just very sceptical how many are going to make it into the country. So, you know, that's the thing that's somewhat worrying. But I think we can do a pre-order, we can put it up, but it will be a disclaimer saying there's no guarantee we can fulfill the order.
It'd be first come, first served.
It will be on a first come, first served, and stuff like that. We'll have to do a little bit more homework. You know, I don't know if we can look into it tomorrow, but obviously weekend we're a bit busy. But it will be that thing where we will look into it and we'll try and get some more information. Because even the release date's a little bit sketchy, because I've heard everything from January to April. So
Paul says, I take your point, Andy, but the Lank is British. Surely the UK is going to get the highest market. It's fair. If anyone, it should be the Canadians who get the highest market, because they made most of them, didn't they?
Yeah. But but don't forget, this is the other thing as well. It never works like that. You know,
No.
we've said about this before. It's funny how it seems to be that the Far East and obviously, you know, Australia and New Zealand seem to get everything before we get it over it. It just seems to filter that way across, then over to here.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those ones where it's very, very difficult because it is a lot of money we're talking about as well. But again, we will do a pre-order, we'll pop it up and we'll see what information. And obviously, like always, we will keep you informed. If we find out anything, we'll let you know as well. You know, and again, if you want to pull out, just tell us before we order them in. So
Yeah, please.
So yes, otherwise we'll all be building Lancasters as some type of group build. So, you know, it's very, very difficult how, you know, with these, especially high ticket kits, Because it's not just us who then worry about money being tied up with them. Obviously, I think the importers are worried about them as well, because they don't want to bring in too many and then we get caught with them. But because I've heard it's limited, I don't think that's going to be so much of a trouble this time. I think a lot of people will be scrambling to get them, and I am 100% sure they're all going to sell instantly. And I think that'll be great news for border models, because it's everything they need. It'd be good news really to see the Wing That Wings kit. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a fantastic kit. It looks amazing. It's just too big for me. So yeah, never mind. Next year I'm going to build the HK48 scale one to go with my other one as well. Look, so that's next year.
Interesting.
So I'm doing that one. So
I'd go 72 if I was building a Lancaster. And I've read the book the past couple of weeks. I've been reading John Nichols' book, Lancaster.
Yeah.
And the thought of doing a 32 had crossed my mind. When you read a book and you want to build a Lancaster, 72 scale as big as I'd go.
But like I said, I think it's still going to be the thing of, like we said before, that the thought of owning probably the best plastic model kit ever built so far.
It's
again, we're all being sceptical here, but I'll just go back to one thing. I was trying to find my photos, and I got to assume they're on another drive or something. But I was looking at some of the photos up of it as well. It's got some real dodgy seams on it. So this could be just the tooling, but have you seen the one around the front end? It's surely that would go back together clearly better than that would. But again, that's no different from other ones I've seen. But, you know, again, there's some big joints on it in different areas, and I was thinking, Christ. But, you know, but again, that's hypothetical when you're up to that level, isn't it, at the end of the day? So, anyway, we have got a few questions on top of everything else. First one is from Tony. He says, my question is off topic for today's task. That's fine. Tried the forum in general, but obviously worded wrongly and got no replies. I do apologise, Tony. I'm building the old 72nd Airfix Hampton even, and the clear parts on top of the fuselage are missing. And clearly a replacement part from Airfix is out of the question. Can you suggest something? Yeah, aftermarket. Who does the aftermarket set for it? God, who are they called? Backform canopy.
They used to do sets, didn't they?
Yeah. I'm sounding clever here, but actually Matt told me before we came on.
Right.
But apparently there's an aftermarket one you can just buy. It's at Hannon's. But if you're saying it's just, wasn't it something to do with just the top bit? It's just got a light bend in it. So, but you can get a full vac form replacement set for it, apparently.
Yeah, Falcon.
This stuff here, I'm not talking about the paints, but what I'm actually talking about is the plastic that the paints come in. Is what when I had a slight problem with my F104 canopy, the rear bit, which had got even a tighter bend in it, I used this.
Yes.
And just basically cut it out, and then I warmed it up in water and kept shaping it to get it to stay into a sort of curve, and it worked out perfectly. So you just want something like this. Some what is it? Acetone? I mean, what is plastic?
You can get clear plastic out, but you can use packaging that comes on food and all.
It is quite thin, and to fair, it worked perfectly.
Yes.
You'd never know.
The old Aries and Thingy's Brazin set stuff I've used before as well, because that's very similar. You can use it for it. Sorry, you've moved it. Dirk, well done, Dirk. He says Falcon canopy set for the Hampton.
All right, cool.
So yes, so there you go. You can either say cause I think you're just saying it's just the top one, isn't it? Isn't that the escape?
Yeah, it's got like a one behind the main cockpit, isn't it?
Yeah, so you could just curve a little bit of plastic like that, or failing that, say get an aftermarket one and chuck it down.
Yeah, it's in front of the gunner's bit, isn't it? Behind the.
Yeah, like plunge mould. Cut some balsa wood and plunge mould it.
Yes.
But yeah, Falcon canopy.
Yeah, Tony's saying as well, same thing about that one. So about you can get clear plastic sheet. Andrew says, hi team, first an apology, I didn't frame my question properly about the trumpeter nippers last week. This is for Andy, your apology. He did email, but I just wanted to ask the team about their options. I'm really good at putting my foot in it, no problem. Yeah, this is the one we were talking about, different nippers and that. I was saying the trumpeter ones, for the money, I think they're the best bargain you can get. I use mine all the time. Very nice. They're not as refined, like we said, as other nippers and all the rest of it, and you go top tier like God hands. But you could buy a few pairs of God hand nippers for 700 quid, couldn't you?
Oh no, yeah,
you
14.
yeah. No, don't worry about upsetting me.
No, it's fine.
You missed a question out from Chris, didn't you?
Oh, did I? Sorry, hold on. Let me just finish this one. We'll go back to Chris. He says, really enjoying the video of the Vulcan build. I've just watched part 6. Could I ask you green handle thing? Do you know what's the most asked question this year? This will be what this is. And we can never remember the name or the number. I should Sharpie it on it, really, and then I'd know.
I'll tell which one is it you've got?
I've got the arrowhead one. It's curved both sides.
I should tell you what the number is. Oh, no, not by clicking on that one. Tools and accessories.
So it's this one.
That one is the
Standard prison issue shank. That's what that one
It
is.
is a shank, yeah.
That one is 9976. Trumpeter 9976.
There you go, double
So I
976.
write it on my desk here, so whenever.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. For the weekly question that comes up, it's made out of 2 big pens and some razor blades.
We also do a 9969, which is also a pointed one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we do the one with the curved edge, which is the
Yeah,
double nine,
single
79,
curved edge, isn't it?
Yeah, 9979. But they're all available in the tools section and the peer model store.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, going back to Chris then. He says he's using MRP acrylic lacquer paints, but I'm having difficulty getting the a decal ready gloss finish. That's unusual, because usually they're very glossy. Can I do anything with the silver in? Okay, first of all, how are you spraying it? You want to, don't forget, it's very, very thin paint, which means you can turn the air pressure right the way down. And because you turn the air pressure down, you get very close. Watch my series of new videos about air pressure, texture, and all the rest of it. And it covers all about that. It is in the main site as well somewhere. But if you watch this video here, it's called, oh, you can't see it, hold on. This video down in here, this is all about your problem that you're obviously having with the texturing. And we talk about in here about, in the videos, about obviously speckly finish. It's got a little bit of sort of grittiness to it and some texture. This one here's a lot finer. It's quite nice. And then obviously we talk about this one is like silk. So it's actually fantastic. And that's literally distance and air pressure. That's all that is, and it just talks about all 3 differences on this one, and then obviously how to fix it as well. So you can lightly sand the area, and then if you polish it with a green polisher or any polishing stick, then you can end up with a really glossy finish, and you can just decal straight down to it. But honestly, go off and have a look at that video. It is in the normal section as well for airbrushing and the actual quick stuff and everything else, because it went up a couple of weeks ago. But that sounds to be your problem. I think you're spraying it too higher air pressure and probably a little bit too far away. But MRPs are literally the thinnest paint you'll ever get, so you can thin them. You don't need to thin them, sorry, so you can get really, really close. So you need to lower that air pressure, and you get it really nice wet look when you're painting and spraying, and you'll be good to go like that.
Someone else asked a similar question in the forum about GX 113, 112.
Yeah.
Both me and John. In fact, John must be quicker typing than me because he hadn't answered it by the time I'd typed it, and then I looked and saw it. Oh, he's already answered it. So I felt a bit of a burden at answering exactly the same question as John, but he hadn't done it when I first started. But yeah, again, it's all like air pressure into it and thickness, thinness, distance.
Also, I think it was on Monday's part of the Vulcan, wasn't it? Actually, thinking about it. Hold on, let me just check up here a sec. In the Vulcan, I think this week, where are we? Video builds. Going on the same computer streaming is never good.
I've had the same issue with Alclad.
Yes, so if you want to look at glossy surfaces as well, I talk about exactly this thing on the Vulcan. So I've given this a satin finish that looks really, really shiny. But obviously if you were using gloss effect, it's the same principle as well. So you're nice and close to your model when you're spraying it and getting it down. And also, as you can see, there's a lot coming out here. So it's like a wet coat as you put it on. So when it dries very smooth. So it's got time to eat into the surface and all sorts. So you end up with a nice, this is a satin finish on this one after we've done the decaling. But same principle applies to it right the way through.
And I can remember years ago when I used to spray just mainly Tamiya, I could get it to be like an 80 grit sandpaper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
I used to do it on bombs. You know, with bombs, you wanted that texture to it,
Yeah.
that sort of fireproof coating they've got on them. So I used to actually spray. I think it was like XF, was it 62 olive drab? I used to have it, let it go really thick, you know, and then pull it in the colour cup and spray it neat at like 40 psi. And it used to literally give great texture effect for bombs and things like that. Anti-slip on the side of Hornets and Phantoms, same technique. So it's great for it.
If it's too late and it's got texture on it, a really old blue sponge, or a green and white stick, or you can put neat thinners over it, can't you?
Thing is, with decals though, it's not a case. It doesn't have to be super glossy. You just want a really smooth finish on it.
Yeah, you want to be honest, it's that thing. The air needs to get out. I've explained this on one or two of the videos. Actually, it is the Vulcan one as well. I talk about silvering on there. The air needs to get out so the actual clear part of it can actually touch the surface. Because if it can't, it's a bit like, and I explain it, I think, with a sanding stick. You know, you put that thing on top of it, and you've got all of those gaps under there, and it just can't adhere down to it. But if it is nice and smooth, it can almost be a flat finish. But as long as it's smooth, it can properly touch the surface and bed down. But if it can't bed down, then you get your silvering. So that's the trouble to it. So we often talk about a gloss coat, but all we're talking about really is the texture, isn't it? If it's a smooth texture like gloss coats have, you won't have a problem.
Nope.
Ian says, hi Phil and team, not sure if it's just me or if others have the same problem, but I'm struggling to find the weapons bombs racks for aircraft. I can never get the seams right, and after sanding they always end up with a flat, not rounded shape. I use a sponge, but still end up with a flat seam. What am I doing wrong? First things first, I just have to say, always treat your weapons like mini models, because it's really easy to treat them like an afterthought, and in some ways they're probably one of the most important things onto it, especially if they're in scene, like an F-16s where they're on the wingtips and that's the first thing you normally see. But I have to say, these are your friends. So this is the Alex Scrapers, and they've got curves on them. So they're great for doing missiles because obviously they're long tubes. You can just run this up and down, take out the mould seam, and it keeps the curve onto it as well. But a lot of the time it's just using a sponge, but it's got to be a soft sponge. So you want it to conform, to bend into it. So if you've got a hard sponge that hasn't got much give in it, a bit like one of these, there's not too much give in those, so you end up with a flat spot. But like the blue ones, the number 3 we do, and obviously the number 24, it's got a really nice soft edge on it. And as you're sanding it, rock it from side to side as well. Just don't be on the top of it. Rock it from side to side as you work your way down.
I like to use either of those two and build it up on the surface. So you're taking this off rather than going into the plastic.
Yeah.
Because obviously the plastic that you've got either side of the seam is the contour of the thing. Sort of like the least amount of that you can take off without going, without going into the gap.
Yeah.
So if you just put that on, and these are quite soft, but you do need to leave these a good while after you've done it, because you do get shrinkage sometimes on them.
Yeah.
But this is a really old one. It's really gloopy and thick, which I find works perfectly for it. And build it up nice and thick, and then just use an old. Again, it's one of those things about keeping old ones. I mean, I've got some really old sponges that haven't really got much left on them, but they're perfect for doing those sort of things because they'll take that softness off, but they don't really dig into the plastic. So you still keep the shape of the plastic, but you're taking off the way of the filler.
Yes.
But leave it a good week or so. Go back to it and see if you've got any shrinkage. If you have, then go back into it and do it again.
What I do as well that I find that helps is tanks, bombs, or anything. I cut off the locating tabs, and then before I put them together, sort of rub them down on. I've got these blocks.
Yeah.
I'll start sanding and get a nice flat surface, and then put them together.
Yeah.
Because what you sometimes found with weapons on some kits is that, especially when they're generic ones, they're older molds.
Yeah.
That go into the kit, so they might not be as a fresh mold as the actual kit. And you get the weapons, and they might not fit together as well as each other, and
But flat spots is just too aggressive with the sanding, isn't it?
Yeah, normally the thing
If you
is,
hold-
if you let it
If
do
you
all
hold
the
the
work.
sponge over here,
Yeah.
you're never going to put too much pressure on.
But again, if you're trying to sand away a dip,
Yeah.
it's like there's no way you ever, unless you do take a lot of plastic off, you're never going to get rid of it, are you?
To be honest, again, I'm not trying to self-promote here, but I will. But the reason we did the green one thin, because obviously a lot of people have seen these and they're really thick, like our other blue one, like that. Trouble with that is that's great for doing quite big areas and for polishing like that. The whole reason of doing this one is so it can conform. So when I designed this one, it was a case of how thin can we make this so it holds its shape, but it's still got a little bit of cushion, because otherwise it'd be rock hard and you might as well just have an emery board. So this is still soft and got a cushion to it, but it can bend right down to give you the curve. And obviously the skinny does exactly the same to be able to do it. So the whole point of this one, because it was a polisher and you know, if you're doing canopies and obviously your model, it needs to conform to all the areas so you definitely don't get a flat spot. So that's when I invented these ones. We went for as thin as I could possibly get it, which is 2 mil, and do it that way. So this,
what was even better was the blue sanding cheeks you used to do.
Yes, that's very true, John, which no one's forgiven me for stop doing.
Just to rub it in.
But don't forget, we do the boards as well. So, but yeah, it is. It's one of those that they've all bloody got. Look, I've got them as well. 'Cause I was using one the other day as well. But, you know, Jesus, I'm gonna have to bring them back, aren't I? Have a poll. Can we do a pre-order on them, and I'll put an order in for 10,000.
You could do a limited run. I reckon they'd sell.
Yeah, we do a limited
I'll tell you what. I think your range of the sanders, the grits you've got on them, they'd be great if you could do them in sponges as well. Sheets.
What? Do them all as a sheet on its own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to mute John?
Yeah. Do you know? I tell you what's the hardest thing at all, and my other half will testify to this because she has a nightmare with these as it is the packaging, because they're not firm. You can't get them in the bag. You spend like about as long as it takes to put, like, you know, one of the hard ones into a plastic bag and seal it. It takes about 4 times longer to get one of them in it because it just won't go in. They're a nightmare. So have a word with packaging. She'll soon tell you. Anyway, so yes, that's it. But like we said before, you know, and I have done videos on weapons as well and various bits and doing banding and those types of things. Like I always say, treat them like a mini model. Don't be sort of, you know, like Nathan was saying, you're taking your time with it and all the rest of it. But John's good advice as well, getting them flat so they go together better. So it's very light sanding and stuff. But again, you can get like the Alex scrapers with it's got the little curves on it. So again, when you're scraping down, it keeps the conforming of it, so you don't lose anything, so it doesn't cause a flat spot, so that's quite handy as well. Jeff says, I know this should be on the PM, but the Border Models Lancaster is on Hobby Easy for 758 Australian sneakers. What's that in pounds then? Because that sounds cheap.
You halve it, $2 to the pound.
Is it? Crikey, that's all go over there then. That sounds very cheap.
So you can get a book a flight to Perth, pick up 10 of them, come back, and you're quitting.
There you go. Look, it's down here as well. So they're saying here, whatever they're in.
That's 407 quid.
Oh, there you go. That seems a bargain.
That can't be right, can it?
So in EU money, it's anywhere between 570, 599. Again, we can't speak because now we're on the wrong side of everything of the channel. By the time Boris has put his bit on, we're stuffed.
Yeah, ironic. British Lancaster. Can't get them in the UK.
Yeah, that's it. Never mind. I'm going to stay with it. 48 scale HK 1. I'll do it next year. Honest. At some point. Alexander says, with Floryfest coming up this weekend, have we not mentioned it? I think we ought to get this in quick. Don't forget, Floryfest starting 10 o'clock, because apparently Matt needs to get into work, on Saturday until 12. And then in the afternoon, Brett's coming on in the afternoon as well to talk all things American. So he's going to be on with us in the afternoon for a little bit as well, and then we'll be on till 5, and then we'll be back on at 7:30 till 9 for the quiz. Have you got it sorted yet, Nave?
I've got homework tomorrow night, haven't I? Do it the night before.
Failing that, or just watch The Chase tomorrow night for the same questions we'll get on Saturday as well.
I think we've got the second group bid reveal as well, haven't we? We're going to announce that.
We can do that as well. Yes, we will. We're going to. Don't forget, tomorrow on Saturday night, we will be revealing the group builds and SIGs for 2022 as well.
Yeah.
So yes, that one is definitely coming up as well. And then obviously we'll be with you on Sunday from 10 till 12. And then in the afternoon on Sunday, we've got Airfix coming on, answering your questions as well and talking about some things as well with Pramjit. He's going to be on with us. And I'm going to be building this at the same time, just to prove how wonderful it is, apparently.
I've got Pramjit Spitfire. I could do that over the weekend, couldn't I?
There we go. See, we're all in. So he's going to be on as well. So if you've got any questions, obviously for Airfix and things like that, you'll be able to post them up, because we will be live across social media right the way over the weekend, and then we'll be running till 5 o'clock on Sunday. We've got some fantastic deals and prices coming up right the way through. There's going to be discounts on all the Flory Models range. Some of it is incredibly generous, I have to say. And Brett's going to match it as well, although he doesn't know what price I'm doing it yet, so he might change his mind and might up them a bit. But
are you doing what you originally said?
Yeah. No, I'm only joking.
See, I've already.
He's already set it up in preparation and everything on. So obviously, if you want your washes, your sander sets, all your bits and pieces and pigments as well and stuff, you'll be able to get it from me or obviously from the guys as well. But Brett's going to match it. So if you're in the US, you can get it all dirt cheap from him as well. So that's all good. And obviously, well, you've been busy, and you'll no doubt be busy tomorrow, Andy, doing all the sales stuff and promotion stuff from the PM store as well, right the way over the weekend. Don't worry, we'll remind you every 10 minutes. It'll be fine. Anyway, Alexander was saying, with Floryfest coming up at the weekend, I was wondering if a few of us, we Aussies, wanted to combine an order for Flory products, sanders, etc. This isn't so much of a problem now, because we did find a small fault, didn't we, Andy? Which we've now fixed.
We think we did.
We think we did.
I hope that was.
We've tweaked the weights, because again, this is all a bit tricky. I don't want to bore everyone, but the way we work the system is obviously weight and volume, and that's how much it costs to ship things. So we've tweaked the weights of all the Flory Models products a little bit lower, so it falls under certain tiering, because obviously things are done on tiers. So whereas before, like 2 bottles of wash used to cost you 80 quid to post it, it's now a far more reasonable lot less. So
the problem is the way the site is set up. It presumes that if you're ordering a certain weight, it's also a big volume.
Yes.
And the way obviously the way the postage works is weight and volume. But yeah, we do sell stuff that are heavier but small, and it was causing a bit of a problem, wasn't it, with the algorithms? So we changed it. But yeah, I mean 40 sanding packs. I don't know what the weight is of that, but basically it came to 80 quid. 80 pounds is up to 2 kilos.
Yeah,
which I suppose is quite a lot of sanding sticks, really.
It is a lot of sanding, but it's not a lot of wash. That's the trouble.
Not a lot of wash. That's the problem.
No,
yeah. But then it isn't that much more once you start going up in tiers of how much yours. I think you sort of pay a premium up to a certain amount, and then it's all like it slows down the way it scales up. So we can do something, and we'll work out the best shipping that we can do. But it's not cheap to Australia. It's not cheap to America.
No,
it's not cheap. It's not cheap to
Doncaster.
I
just sent stuff up to you today, and it's a little bit more normal. I was like, bloody hell. So anyway, the guys are talking about that there as well, and Chris is pointing out that obviously you've got to think of the internal postage when it gets to Australia, to other parts of Australia as well. So anyway, you can go back and read all of that one. When is big too expensive? Too big when it becomes unmanageable. This is from Paul. In your allocated workspace, which is very true. But again, I will read the rest out. Sometimes that doesn't work either, because I've got big room in here, but doing the B52, one of the biggest problems you have is you keep knocking it as you've got it and you're trying to paint it, you turn around and you're bashing stuff because it's just big and unwieldy and stuff like that. You know, that's the trouble you can have with it. Luckily with lacquer paints as well, they dry really, really quickly, so it's not so much of a problem. But if you were trying to do it in enamels and they take forever to dry, you got to keep it, stop the, you know, flies walking on it and stuff. I'd love to build a large-scale ship, but have not had the space really to display it on. See, that's not so bad, ships, because you put them on shelves because they're thin. Fit through the Suez Canal, you know. Anyway, as an armour builder in 35th and 32nd aircraft is my favourite, although need to build some as they complement each other in size-wise. And again, that's why we thought border models. We've pulled a blinder doing 35th scale. Now they've gone back to that. And again, expense is another story. Lucky enough to have an understanding wife. Yeah, that's what you need, an understanding partner with these things. And he's got disposable income, which is always handy. So don't spend much time in the pubs. And I'll paraphrase a bit of these because we've sort of run out of time. But yeah, it is that thing, what we were saying before. You know, and if you're breaking it down into hourly rate, which he makes the point, which I totally agree with, it is that thing. If it does take you 6 months to build it, 700 quid, cheap, isn't it?
See, I'm sort of like, yeah, same sort of, you know, you get to a certain age in life where you do have more disposable income, don't you? And so, like, yeah, you can spend it, but yeah, the thing about it being £600, in reality, it's probably 1,200 quid because you spend 600 quid, then she's got to spend 600 quid. So
yeah, well, this is it. Yeah, it'd be the tit for tat, isn't it?
Yeah, keep the mapping.
My other half spends out on shoes a week, I swear. Right, anyway, Adam says, but again, it's her money, she points out she do what I like with it. She says, yeah, fair enough. Right, Adam says, hi guys, does anyone have any experience or know if it's possible to fit an Edard 48 scale Spitfire Mark 3, I need my glasses on,
8.
Sorry, 8. Oh yeah, sorry, V, yeah, Mark 8, with the wings off of a Spitfire Mark 1. I don't know.
No idea.
No idea on that, to be honest.
What would he make it if he was doing that?
What, Mark 8 wings and Mark 1 wings and Mark
Well, perhaps
8.
he's backdating a Mark 8 to a Mark 2 because the wings are different.
Do they do a Mark 2? Do they do a Mark 2?
Don't know.
No, done a Mark 1, haven't they? I'm just looking at my ones I've got down there. I've got a Mark 1 and then I've got lots of other different marks. I've got a Mark 9, I've got a Mark 16.
I think they probably would fit because the wing roots are the same.
Mark
The only thing
2
that changed the
is
Spitfire wings was the wing tips and the
Yeah, but are the
where this
front of the nose is the same shape and everything? Yeah, where it joins.
That's the bit I'm not sure.
Yeah, and sort of like the.
yeah, the carb underneath and that
Yeah.
as well. Wasn't it bigger on the later ones, wasn't it? The early ones were quite small.
Yeah.
Anything is possible with super glue and a file. There you go. Les has put it perfectly.
That's true.
Right, okay, so Peter says, well, as an ex-World War II Border Models 132nd Lancaster has been confirmed at £700, including VAT, it's clearly too big and too expensive, which is probably true on most people. But again, like I think we discussed tonight, it's just one of those things, isn't it? It depends on what's too big and what's too expensive for you.
And people are willing to buy them.
Absolutely, and apparently they are. Chris says too big, depends on the individual circumstances. For me, it's anything bigger than an A3 cutting mat, which is exactly what I say, as I only have a smallish workspace. Also, because the shape and size of my living accommodation, a bungalow loft conversion, I have very limited display space. And I think that's probably, you know, what comes into most of us, isn't it? It's what you're going to do with it once you have built it. For example, he's got the Mobius Seaview, which is 39 inches long, which he bought years ago before we moved to his present location. Sorry?
I never realised that was so big.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, yeah, but the Seaview, because again, it's thin, isn't it? At least you could get it on a shelf, and it's not like going to have wings that hang out halfway across your room. The bit where you're watching telly, you've got a Lancaster wing hanging above your head. So
Is that the one where you can see inside the...
the front bit?
Yeah.
I don't know it, to be honest.
In answer to the Spitfire wings, Dirk couldn't let us know at the weekend, so we can come back to that.
Yes.
Must have both kits and test it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dirk.
And then he's basically saying about it's too expensive, again, down to personal circumstances we were saying before. Average kit spend around about 30, 35. Most expensive purchase in recent years, 60 quid, excluding the Vulcan at the moment. Again, I think, as you say, to some people, it's a lot of money. And, I can appreciate that. To other people, well, it's only 700 quid. It's a night out to some people.
Wow. I want to go on one of those nights out. A messy night, wouldn't it?
It was a messy night, yeah. Jeff says, too big. If it doesn't fit into my workspace and there isn't room to display it, then it's too big, no matter how nice or desirable the kit is. I think that's, is one of those factors into it. If seriously you are limited on workspace, how would you even work on something that big? Because I've worked on the Tamiya Lancaster, and again, it was quite nice because the wings were very modular. You could click them off, you could build the wings completely separate and then put them in afterwards because they were a really nice fit and all the rest of it. But I'm not sure if that works the same way. So you could break it down into component parts and do it like that. As for too expensive, really that's individual depending. Wingnut Wings SE5 a few months ago for just over £110. Which I think was reasonable value, all things considered. Again, it's one of those ones where you take it if you can, you go for it. This brings up the other question: will there be access to Flory Fest specials for EU members? We spoke about that earlier, didn't we? Did we come up with an answer? Not really.
That was the answer, wasn't it?
That was the answer. Not sure. Simon says, too big when you've got nowhere to display it, too expensive when your wife starts packing your bags. Absolutely. Fair play. Peter says, hi guys, if Phil is up for building the border numbers, could the members club together for him? No, he doesn't want to. Get rid of that, delete that. There's no way I'm building it. It's too big. It's ridiculous. Steve says...
It's the time, isn't it, that's going to take you to build it.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing as well. We spoke about before. I always try and do a build per month. That's the whole point. So if I'm spending months doing that, everyone's going to get really fed up with her. Steve says, easy, tell her it doubles as a jewellery box. Job done. And last up, we've got Dirk, and he says, too expensive. Would have to take into account value for money against rarity. Again, I don't like it when things go rare and it just forces the price up, because then it's, I know that's how the world works, but I suppose because I'm not one of these people who is like collectibles and, I know things go up in value, big things and stuff, but I've never been like that. He says, I'm fortunate enough to have a reasonable spending budget, yet I'm still a cheap duchy at heart. There we go. A rare kit, 72nd or obscure, for 75 to 100 euros max. Fair enough. On the other hand, a reboxing of a reasonably current type for 45 quid by Hasegawa. So again, we spoke about those anyway, that are horrendous money for what they are, and Revell is guilty of that as well. Not when there is a cheaper option. It's too big. If you can't afford a good place for it once it's finished. Mostly 132nd, except for two long-time stash inhabitants. Both were good enough gift to a museum or the like. That's something still to consider. Says you could donate it to somewhere once you've built it. Nice little offer, as long as they look after it. Isn't it? Don't know.
Yep.
Very, very interesting. I think I'm amazed by how many people said that, it's one of those things where if the price was lower, people still wouldn't go for it. And if the scale was smaller, they still wouldn't go. It's almost like they tend to like it as it is and being overpriced and watch everybody else do it. So are we going to take a sweepstake on who's going to be building it first on the internet? Which YouTuber will be up there first, deliberately trying to get it up there?
Sticking it together, or actually building it properly?
No, building it properly. Somebody will be doing it and have it done within 2 weeks, just to be that person. So, So
again, a lot of people, well, a lot of YouTubers will do it for the
vanity,
well, for the views,
clickbait.
Yeah, a lot of for the views because some people make the money off the views, don't they? But
I tell you what, you got to get a lot of views to get your 700 quid back.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right, we've got a really quick question from Chris on chat.
Yes.
If you're doing your chipmunk in red, white, and black, what red would you use for a RAF chipmunk and Tamiya red? Can you use Tamiya red for RAF chipmunk?
Attacker do the proper colour for it, don't they? Is it insignia? Not insignia red. It's
Is it roundel red?
Roundel red or traffic red?
Traffic red, isn't it?
Traffic red.
I think the red's going to be the problem in Tamiya, isn't it? The white and the black.
I think the red's too dark, isn't it, in Tamiya?
I think the
Attacker
red's
do traffic red. Yeah.
Attacker cherry red. I
Cherry
think the
red.
red's
Cherry red. Attacker cherry red, apparently.
It's one that came in the set, isn't it?
The Tamiya range, is it? The reds in Tamiya too bright or too dark, aren't they?
The red, to be honest, I ended up doing mine pretty much in it after I gave up with the Attacker. And if I remember rightly, when I redid all those 72nd ones for the little mini commission we did, those we just did in Tamiya red. You can nudge it back a bit with a little bit of buff. Just take the edge off it.
Are we sure it's cherry red? Because I've got traffic red.
Yeah, I thought it was traffic red, to be honest. But
Mine came with.
If you can wait till the weekend, somewhere on my computer I've got RAF painting instructions from the 70s, so I can probably get the proper name of it at the weekend. But whether I can get a Tamiya match, I'm not sure. It won't be roundel red, will it? Is it the same red as the roundels? Is the reds on the wing tips?
well, this is the thing. I'm not being funny. We spoke about this before in another show. Having been right up to them with Andy in it, we saw them in maintenance and got the chance to crawl right over them. They're not red. They're like orange. It's just that when they're flying around, they look red, but they're actually on the ground. They're orange.
You've got to put air cadet vomit on the wing roots as well.
Yeah.
When they come out. I'm not sure, but can we put that one into the weekend? I think I might have a better answer at the weekend.
The thing is, if you literally, Tamiya is close. Tamiya XF7 or X7 red is pretty close. What you can do is just put a nudge of buff into it just to knock it back a little bit. And because that's normally how I do red arrows.
To be fair, going back to last week's discussion.
Yeah, precisely. Who cares?
Colours.
Photograph it in black and white.
For the black, I might be using rubber black.
Yes.
So it's not black, and then the white is white, isn't it? What's
Definitely.
the theme for Saturday's quiz? Life and Times of Karl Marx.
Yeah, do we need to sort of start swatting up now?
I'm not giving it a thought.
Definitely.
Like, it'd be connected to this, I don't know. Ooh, but do all the questions themed around the SIG and see if people can work out what the SIGs are.
Yeah, that's it. That'd be quite a good one. Definitely. But anyway, just to recap, obviously, show tomorrow. Next part of the Vulcan will be up with you, which is the penultimate part will be up with you tomorrow. The final part of that will be up on Monday. And then there's going to be a bonus part the week after, because it will hopefully time with the weekend with any luck if it all goes well. So over the weekend, I'm going to be doing various demos, talking, hosting, various things like that. So, but I will be doing some more weathering. I'm finishing off, hopefully, the Lightning. That's my plan of action down in there. We'll be doing a little something or other with this little guy as well. And I'm going to be working on the Vulcan, which hence whilst the final part of that really can't go out till it's finished.
Neil says, can we do a timetable of what times we're on at the weekend?
Yes, so as said before, we will be on starting at 10. Originally we were going to be a bit earlier, but Matt needs to get into work. So you know what he's like, he needs his shreddies and whatnot before we can get going. Starting at 10, finishing at 12, then we'll have a break, and then we'll be back with you 2 till 5. And then in the evening, 7:30 till 9, or whenever we've finished, with a beverage, cheesy snacks, or a fishy snack if you're into a scampi fry, and things like that. Chocolate, whatever you're into. And then obviously we'll be back with you on Sunday, same format. So it'll be like 10 till 12, and then obviously in the afternoon till finishing off at, I'll say at 5, because Matt wants to be away at 4, but it's fine.
Which session is Pramjit on?
Pranjit's going to do from 2 o'clock on Sunday. He's going to come in because we're going to be talking about this. And I'm going to put it together whilst he's talking.
What time's Brett on?
Which aren't available at the moment from our suppliers, so couldn't order any in.
I know. I need a word with him and Dan, I think, clearly.
Yeah.
So, yes. Yeah, Brett's going to be on Saturday afternoon as well. We've got to sort of do it this way purely because we need to get people in and talking before we go live. Otherwise, it screws everything up, we've now found out. So, yes, be absolutely fine. But anyway, we will be doing demos and answering. Matt's going to be painting figures at some point, I do believe. Andy's going to be fiddling with something. So's John and Nathan will. They just don't know what they're doing yet.
I've got Pramjit's start set Spitfire.
Yeah.
Which is the same as the Hawk, so I might dig that out because I could do with a break from just.
Unfortunately, I'm going to miss the day Saturday because some of us have got to work.
Oh.
This is work. You're moonlighting again at your postie job. I've told you about that.
Paid work.
Is it YouTube chat and Flora chat, or just one?
No, it will be YouTube as well and Flory chat. Obviously, you guys will obviously always get priority, but because it's going to be all over social media as well. So,
and Matt still give himself into a bit of a hole, hasn't he? Because he's moving house. He's emptied his shed out.
Yeah.
So we can't model in there anymore. So he's got to go to work to do it, and yeah.
Yes. Phil's going to be storm chasing. Where are you chasing storms? It's a bit windy down here at the moment. Does that count? We will rebuild. So yes, Scampi and chips. There you go. Somebody said about Scrumpy and Scampi. That's a good idea. Scampi fries with cider. Be interesting.
Is there a storm coming at the weekend?
Is there? I don't know. Well, yeah, but Phil might live somewhere else. He
No,
might
I've
live
only
somewhere
got
interesting. Like La Palma.
Oh dear.
Phil, where are you storm chasing? We need to know this before we go.
Just about to have a look.
Yeah.
Suffolk.
We have a 132 scale Lancaster swear box.
I think so. That'd be good, wouldn't it? That'd soon fill
I'll
up.
have enough to
That'd
buy
pay for
one.
our trip as a team to Japan.
Yeah. Phil's from Suffolk.
Oh, well, there you go. Are they expecting much around Suffolk?
Didn't know. Yeah.
Well, I must admit, it's quite windy here, and the weather has been a bit pants today, to be honest, but I wouldn't call it stormy. I don't think we've had a storm yet this year.
Bit windy here. But
Bit windy.
alright.
But no, cool. Right, okay then, guys, we'll call it right there. So I'll be along with you tomorrow for a bit of a catch up, and obviously for the last part of the Vulcan and that. I will get some more done as well for the actual new site areas, the 101 areas as I call them. So tornado chasing in Grimsby. They're out of service now, aren't they? But yes, we'll be on there, and then obviously if you want to join us over the weekend, you can just jump in at any point. There will be recorded things, so you can come back and see us. That'd be fantastic. But as I say, we are going to be doing specials which will go live obviously on the Saturday. If you are in the US, obviously Brett's joining in with those as well, so you can get them from Brett, or you can get them from me, or you can obviously get them from Andy if you want to put it in with other bits and pieces as well along with that way, because as I say, they've got a nice restock going up to them today as we speak. So yes, good job. And then John will be along Saturday afternoon, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and not going to complain about his morning. But everyone queuing up for fuel.
Or he's had a puncture again.
Or he's had a puncture. Or he's just
I have
broken
seen
down.
the weather forecast. It depends how wet I get.
Oh, you'll be fine. Well, your hair's not going to frizz, is it? You'll be fine.
or his air conditioning's not working again. Or he ain't got air conditioning.
He'll be
Could be
complaining
heated
he's
now.
too
Heater
cold
will
now.
start
He
working.
needs a heater. Cool, there we go. Right, we will leave it right there then, guys. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It is an absolute pleasure as always. Remember, stay safe, and then hopefully we'll see you over the weekend. But if not, take care. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Say goodbye, gentlemen. We're out of here.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.